Good morning and welcome to Judaism Today. We all love the high holidays, we all love the beautiful tunes and the songs, and I think one of the ones that always stood out to me the most was this phrase, Kechomer b'yad hayotzer, keina nachlu b'yadcha. Right, when we sing on Kol Nidre night, we sing, we are like clay in the hands of the potter, it's in his hands to mold and it's in his hands to shape. So are we in God's hands. And it's this beautiful idea that we recognize that we as human beings are ultimately submitted to God's hands. I think there's a very important expression of this metaphor in this week's Parsha, and it really says something deeper. There's an episode in the Torah, sort of a relatively obscure episode. The Jews are having a plague. God had sent them to be punished because they had complained about the manna. They rebelled against God once again, and he sends scorpions, snakes, nefashim, to attack the Jewish people. And God says, Moshe prays to God to save them. God says, here's what you should do. Take a big copper snake, put it on a banner, and whenever someone will look at it, who was bitten, they'll look at the snake, and they'll survive. And the Mishnah Rosh Hashanah asks something interesting. The Mishnah says, do copper snakes make people live or make people die? How do we understand it? Can it make people live or die? Rather, when they would look towards heaven, it's not that they would look at the snake, it's that they look towards heaven, and that would cause, they'd subjugate their hearts to God, that would ultimately cause them to be healed. And the question is obvious. Does that mean the snake was a contrivance? Does that mean there's no meaning to this snake thing? God could have said, lift up a flag, and that would have also worked. And I think this passage in Rosh Hashanah really teaches something very important. It's not that the snake was insignificant. For whatever spiritual reasons, the Ramban talks about it, to heal a snake bite with the snake, by gazing at the snake somehow, there was some spiritual reason why that created healing. That was true. But what the Mishnah is saying is that it was higher because you have to be able to look past it. You have to be able to look past the particular tool. You have to be able to look past the particular tool and realize who's shaping the tool, who's behind the tool. And so, yes, the snake was the vehicle of healing, but it's ultimately has to be coupled with the recognition that it's God who's behind it. And that's so true in life. In life, all day long, we're involved in doing stuff, business, family, anything. And those things matter. These are the tools which God gave us, a business deal, our computer, whatever it is. These are the tools that God gave us to do stuff in the world, to achieve things. And that's phenomenal. But the message of the passage in Rosh Hashanah is those aren't the be-all and end-all, but that we have to recognize that the reason why those things work, the reason why we can be successful in business, yes, we have an intellect and we have a capacity for drive and to cut a deal, but without the recognition that ultimately, God is the one who gives us these things, and God enables these things to happen, then we lose sight of what life is all about. This is perhaps the symbolism of that song, of that piyut. The Chomer b'yad hayotzer. We are like this. We're like clay in the hands of the former, of the craftsman, and the craftsman is the one that ultimately makes it work. Yes, the pot matters, but it's the craftsman that ultimately gives it its meaning. If we approach life like this, and we take our day recognizing that yes, we're doing our hishtadlus, we're doing our thing, we're doing our business, we're working as hard as we can, but at the same time, we ultimately recognize that these are God-given abilities, and it is God who is powering us, so to say, and empowering us, then that changes our entire approach to life, and we recognize that it's only bisman that we put our focus on God that will be successful, and that'll add a whole new dimension of meaning to everything. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Judaism Today. If you did, please make sure to follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, or check into our podcast wherever podcasts are listened to, and we look forward to hearing from you more.